Good afternoon. Thank you very much. The Spirit of Canada's story actually starts in a phone booth in St. John's, Newfoundland. And I'm in that phone booth. It's during 1996. I'm doing a race from Plymouth, England to Newport, Rhode Island in this little boat. Some of you might recognize Gizmo from Lake Ontario. I've had a really tough race. I've had the boat upside down twice, broke a shroud on the mast, and had to stop in St. John's. And I'm there trying to fix the boat. And I'm talking to my father on the phone and saying, "Dad, bring the trailer. I cannot finish this race. It's just too tough. I cannot finish. I want to take the boat home. I want to quit." And typical of my father, he said, "Get your butt back on that boat and get to the finish line in Newport." And I did get back on the boat. 8 days later, I finished in Newport, and the sense of accomplishment was huge. And that sparked my desire then to go further. Because of that, accomplishment became very addictive. I started to think about the granddaddy of all races, and that is the Around the Lone, and it happens every 4 years. Here's the map. This time it started in New York. First leg went to England for the first time. That's a mere 2,800 miles. Second leg runs from the UK to Cape Town. From Cape Town, deep in the Southern Ocean to New Zealand. New Zealand, around Cape Horn, and up the eastern coast of South America to Brazil. And the last leg runs back to the start line in Newport, Rhode Island. To give you a perspective of how difficult it is to get to the start line, over 80 applicants applied for the race. 50 paid the first installment, which was $10,000. 25 paid the second installment. 13 made it to the start line. 9 of us finished. I didn't have a boat, so I started thinking about what I was going to do. These boats are very particular. They're specifically designed for single-handed racing. Here you see, for the sailors in the room, it has a canting keel, twin dagger boards, twin rudders. I didn't have a sponsor, so I started thinking about how we were going to get into this race. And I met a designer, a naval architect in 1995 during a Bermuda race, and he told me, "If you will build the boat, I will design it for you." And that's exactly what we started to do. We didn't have a major sponsor, as I said, and I brought to bear a lot of engineering, a lot of things on this boat. I provided all the grunt work, but here you see the boat being made. I started in my father's shop in New Brunswick in the fall of 1997. And from there, we constructed the boat. It took 2 years to get it to this stage. Then we brought it to Ontario, and I then commuted back and forth to Bowmanville, Ontario over the next 3 years, finishing the boat. And like I said, it's no backyard special. What I did, I brought a lot of engineering, creative people to bear on it. I provided all the work. A lot of communities and people, sailors and everybody got behind the project, and it became a real media event, and people started to get behind it. And we finished the boat in, next slide please, in the fall of 2001. And here you see us launching it in Toronto in the harbor, Inner Harbor. You can see the fin keel on here. The engineering on that fin was basically the success of the boat. And a lot of people at the Toronto Boat Show actually took bets on how long it would be before that fin fell off. But I put some really good money into the engineering of that. And also you see here a number of names on the side of the hull. It became a real grassroots effort. A lot of Canadians got behind it. Over 3,000 names, individual people and companies put their name on the side of the boat. And that became quite a success in that I remember getting deep in the Southern Ocean, I got an email from a lady in Calgary saying, "You know, I'm really glad my name is there with you in spirit." And so all those 3,000 names went around the world with me. We launched the boat, and I started preparing it, testing sails, testing my clothing, because the clothing in these races is critical. There's no heater on these boats, and the clothing systems you have, similar to mountaineering clothing, you rely on these solely, and you live in these clothes. Here you see a picture of me upside down in the boat. These boats are the safest in the world in that they actually have positive flotation, and they will float even full of water. We had to turn it upside down with me inside, and we turned it upside down with a crane. I was inside, and I had to right it by myself. And that's one of the tests that they do, the race committee does, because these boats have a long history, of course, of turning upside down in the Southern Ocean and not righting themselves. But now the rules require that we test this and be able to do this. From Toronto, I took the boat to Halifax and out to St. Lawrence and staged in Halifax. And the boat's very first race was from Halifax to St. Pierre, and the boat won. And it started to get some real attention now, because here's a small little 40-footer, and it's performing very well. After St. Pierre, I took the boat to the Azores. I had to qualify for the Around the Loan, and that qualification was 2,000 miles on the boat by myself. And I sailed it from the Azores to Newport, Rhode Island, to the staging ground for the Around the Loan. And this is in August of 2002. The race started with a prologue race from Newport and down to New York. And again, the boat performed exceptionally well. I was racing in a class 2, with 340s and 350s. And on the very first race, prologue race, down from Newport to New York, it won its class, beating 3 of the 50-footers down to New York.